There's just a little clip. Like, I like to work with him every single day to make sure he's like, you know, catching up on his developmental skills or whatever. So that was just a little clip of him just like learning stuff and being cute. So I wanted to give y'all some information on the G-tube. So Maxwell eats through a G-tube, and the G-tube is pretty much it's inserted surgically, and it's a little button that goes into his stomach, and it has like this balloon thing that leaks the that allows the food to go directly into his stomach. It leaks in there at whatever rate that you can control it from the machine, right? So he has this long cord, and I'm going to show you guys in the video everything. The machine that we use the Infinity machine, and I'm going to show y'all exactly how it works. And so you clamp it, no milk goes through. When you unclamp it and you connect it to the machine, it pretty much goes through at whatever rate. So you can set it at 60 milliliters, at 90 milliliters over a course of a few hours or 4 hours, however long you want to set it, and allows your child to eat at a rate that is healthy for them. Why I got the G-tube. When I tell people that Max eats through a tube, they immediately get like sympathetic or like sad, like, oh, he's sick, oh, he's really sick, oh, he eats through a tube. And it's like, you know, I get it, that's not normal for a baby to eat through a tube, obviously, but I chose that route for Max because Max simply just did not learn to eat. There was no medical reason as to why he needed the G-tube. I've heard cases of a lot of babies needing the G-tube because they have born with like their intestines outside of their bodies, things of that nature. That's really, really serious. By the grace of God and all glory to God, Max did not have those issues. So he had no medical reason as to why he needed a G-tube. I chose the route of a G-tube because I was going through postpartum. I was sad. I was going to the NICU every day. It was a really tough time for me, and I really wanted my baby home. And unfortunately for Max, he was not learning to eat at any rate. So what happened was they started off bottle feeding him. I got to breastfeed him a couple of times, and he started coughing and choking, and he started getting more and more uncomfortable with like the sucking and swallow process of the milk going down. And so for a lot of people that have had full-term babies, a lot of times they don't really actually understand it, that the sucking and swallow process with babies is something that they have to get used to, right? And so that, because they were in the womb and they wasn't used to necessarily doing that. And so when they come out the womb and they're now responsible for using their upper airway and throat muscles to now take in their food, you know, that's something that they get used to, and it'll come naturally to them, obviously. But being that Maxwell was not a full-term baby and born in 24 weeks, that was not something that came natural to him, because he was getting and intaking his food through a tube, a feeding tube that was intubated through his nose. And so because of that, he did not ever learn how to eat. In the times that I got to breastfeed him, he struggled a little bit. He was doing so good at first. He loved breastfeeding at first. Like, he loved the bonding and the skin to skin. And then I think that he had a couple of moments where he coughed and he was choking, and that was just really uncomfortable for him, especially with being intubated. And so all of that going on with like the cannula in his nose and having the tube in and breastfeeding and coughing, all of the stuff that was going on with him being in the hospital, and all those things that was needed for him to develop properly, it wasn't rocking. He wasn't rocking with doing all of that and breastfeeding at the same time and coughing and choking while learning to eat. And so he never learned. And so when they were bottle feeding him, during the day when I wasn't at the NICU, he started off with like 40 cc, and he was doing so good, which is equivalent to like 40 milliliters, which he was doing great. And then he kept regressing. He just kept regressing as they started working with him more and more and more. And so they were coming to the conclusion that he was just not feeling eating like that. So he never learned the sucking and swallowing process to be able to intake his food, which is something that can easily be developed through a food program and through speech therapy. But they said pretty much that he was going to have to stay in the NICU until he learned to eat. And for the last month, he was breathing on his own. So the only reason keeping him from leaving the NICU was that he just ain't know how to eat. He just ain't know how to use his upper airway. And y'all, I was just like, oh my God, like, I really am ready for him to come home. So they gave me the option to get the G-tube. And, you know, since then I've been doing great at it. We've been going to G-tube clinic, which is offered through the hospital, and they pretty much check on his G-tube, make sure I'm cleaning it great. And I'm going to go through all of that with y'all, like how to clean it, how to take care of it, because it is an open wound, and the doctors kind of described it as like a piercing. So it's like a, you know, there's something in it, and if ever it comes out, which it can come out, y'all. Like, it can come out. Maxwell has come out once before. And with a lot of kids, it's normal for them to come out, especially if they have older brothers and sisters that they plan or whatever. It's hard to get them things to just like stay in and keep them from messing with it. And especially with Maxwell, he's older now and he's hyperactive, so it's really hard, y'all, to keep that G-tube, like keep him from touching it, from messing with it. And so there's processes that I've had to go through, and there's things I've had to like play around with, trial and error, to figure out to keep his hands off of it. So if you are a parent that's dealing with the G-tube and you have a really hyperactive child, like Maxwell wants to jump, kick, fight, punch, play all day long. And then, you know, he has to sit on the G-tube thing and like eat, and he don't like to do that no more. He likes to jump and kick and play and all of that stuff as a normal baby would. So yeah, like just trying to feed him gets harder as they get older, which is why we are about to enroll him in a food program, which I will be taking y'all along the whole journey with the food program of him learning how to eat. I'm so excited about it. So yeah, but that is how he eats, and I will show y'all how everything works. I will show y'all how I clean it. I've gotten a lot of praises from the nurses and the doctors about how I take care of it. I have my own individual way of how I do things. I use gauzes. I know that they have things available on Amazon for G-tubes, and they have a couple of people that make things through Etsy, but those things Max was not rocking with. I tried them. I have had a way I really have to like strap them down and have like a little body headband. I have like a little headband that has been turned into like a body strap suit for him to keep his hands off of it, because he will dig in it and try to play with it and try to scratch it on out. I will tell y'all about granulation tissue. Granulation tissue is a thing, and it's kind of like the little skin that kind of comes out around the sides, because it is an open wound, and that happens even if you do keep it super clean. I clean it 2 to 3 times a day. I put cream on it. We just picked up some more cream from Walgreens, so yeah, we are doing everything we can to make sure that we are taking care of it. So I'm gonna take y'all along the journey with me, show y'all how the G-tube works, and just show y'all our little process of how we do things. And this is gonna be a segment of videos. So y'all gonna see, of course, videos, how we do this thing and how he eats. All right, y'all, so this is the Mickey. You'll see 2 connectors. There's a long connector, which is the Mickey that I have my finger on, and that is the clamp, and then that clamp connects to a longer cord that goes into the machine, which is the Infinity. I told you that's the machine that we use. So you'll see that clamp stops the milk from going, and anytime he's connected and there's milk flowing, you unclamp that, and that allows the milk to go through and to go into his stomach. So you see he be messing with it, y'all. Like, it's very hard to keep older kids' hands off of it, especially when they're 1 and they're like, oh, but you'll see how long it is. It connects all the way through, and it goes into his stomach, and you'll see I have the gauzes there that pretty much straps that down, y'all. I have so many layers of gauzes on it, and some skin safe medical tape for him, because he likes to mess with it, y'all. And if I did not do all of this to secure him and protect him from himself, he will snatch that thing on out. And so I have that. As you can see, he be putting his hands on it, and then I have the actual headband like that. It's kind of like a little body band that I make to keep around it, so that way he doesn't mess with it. And I clean it 2 to 3 times a day. I make sure I put the cream on it to make sure that there's no itching or anything like that. But he is at that age that he realizes that it ain't a part of his stomach, and so he does like to mess with it, y'all. But everything flows into his stomach, and I'll show y'all the button. Obviously in this clip you cannot see the button, but yeah, all of that flows into his stomach, and I'll show y'all the button later. Also, y'all, like, while he's eating, I like to play with him and work on some developmental things with him, so that way he's not just sitting there bored while he's eating, because it's natural for him to want to jump around and play. And so I try my best to try to keep him stimulated and entertained while he's eating, and then when he's off the G-tube and when he's done eating, I let him run free, wild, and do whatever he want to do. But when he's on it, I try my best to like work with him with his like hand skills and motor skills, and just making sure we catching him on up. So as you can see, what I do is I sit him in here. His shirt a little dirty, don't worry about that. And then we put the G-tube through here, and it's connected through to his stomach, and we just have him eating, and it's connected all the way up here. His beat is actually almost over, so yeah. And he kind of sits here and he chills. You okay, Max? You okay? And yeah, he eats. So there we go. Say clap, clap, clap. Let's go. Clap, clap, clap. Clap, clap, clap. Clap, clap, clap. Bye, bye. Bye, bye, bye. Bye, bye, bye. Bye, bye. Come on. Clap, clap. Okay, so this means his food is finished. So that's beeping. So we're going to go over here. We're going to turn that off. The bag is, as you can see, empty. So he is done for a couple hours. You excited? You done? Now you can move. You can do whatever you want, Max. All right, so now that his feed is finished, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and clamp that up into the Mickey to keep the milk from flowing out. So, you know, if I didn't clamp that, the milk would flow out through that end. So I unscrew those from each other from the machine, and I'll do that off camera. But yeah, I unscrewed that. And normally I would take the Mickey in and I would like stick it up through his diaper to secure it until his next feed or through his like little body band. But obviously he was in his little high chair, so I didn't do that. I just kind of left that there. You know, I got to do my best to keep him from playing with it and pulling it and things like that. But that's pretty much that process of eating, and he is ready to go and take on the world for the next couple of hours. So his next feed. So I'm gonna show y'all in this next clip what his actual button looks like. So I'm taking it off because I'm actually about to give him a bath and I'm about to clean him when I recorded this. So yeah, you're gonna see what the little button looks like, and it's going to look a little juicy because it had been on there for a couple of hours. But I'm slowly taking it off, and that's just a little bit what it looks like. But yeah, it's pretty intact, and that's what the little button looks like, and that's how his food is going in there. Hey y'all, so in the next video I'm going to show y'all how I clean it and how I deal with any granulation tissue, and basically how I seal the G-tube to keep him from getting to it. And this is especially important for them hyperactive babies, okay? Like the babies that love to pick at it, or if you got children, if you have a child that's on the G-tube that has siblings and they like to play and be rough and things like that. So I'm gonna come at y'all in the next video, and I'm gonna see y'all later. Love y'all. Bye. Say bye-bye. Say bye-bye.